Well, howdy, everybody. There is a banality to what is occurring, or banal, however way you want to do it. But there's a such a banal, unoriginal sort of constant grind that you just kind of become used to. I think about it even today. Fire department came up to the hotel, and there was a EMS. The paramedics came up. Apparently, someone had some sort of fit or who knows what, some sort of medical emergency in their room. And we're all just kind of like, oh, they didn't tell us. And you realize the banality of it all. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I'm realizing more and more that by the time the fall does occur, nobody will care. Nobody will notice. We think it's going to be some dramatic civil war where everyone just chooses their sides and starts waving flags, and we're all going to have these bombastic speeches. That will occur, but I think that by this point it'll just happen, and then you're just like, oh, well, what happened? How come we can't get that? Why can't we do that? And it happens so slowly and methodically that you no longer care. You're like, oh, well, shit, the system doesn't work anymore. Well, why is that? And by the time that happens, it's too late. I guess it's the same thing with climate change or what. Like I said, we're not going to get into that, but you realize that the optimist, the optimistic point of view is like civil war, millions dead, or right wing militias are going to break in. Something that Vosh larped about, like, oh yeah, the right wing militias are going to come in and kill all the POC and kill all the LGBTQ people. It's like, no, you give them way too much credit. It's the same thing with conspiracy theorists. That's the other side of the coin of like banality, where it's like, oh, well, they were trying to kill somebody for this reason or whatever. It's like, it's all banal at this point. It's all banal, unoriginal, boring, and you're just kind of like, oh, And you realize that that is what our society has created. Another mass shooting. People are up in arms about how the police acted. Are we going to do anything about it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you realize that that is the true reality we will be living in. We live in a disintegrating society. A society that will slowly it just won't be available anymore. It will just happen where it's just like, oh, we live without it. Oh, electricity's out. Oh, the water's not working, or oh, whatever. And you realize that that's how it happens. It's not even dramatic. There's nothing, like some sort of. It's all just like I say. We've all been so propagandized by films. This with this idea where it's just like, you know, like Red Dawn or something like that. The Soviets are going to come and parachute. They're going to parachute in and just start shooting teachers and shooting up schools. And you're going to have to go live out in the woods and shit like that. It's never going to be like that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The reality is that I think the rest of the world will move on. Individuals and maybe even groups of people will be remembered in the United States, and certain areas will be protected, but the large, vast swath of the United States will be a wasteland. You see, like I say, if you've lived in the United States any length of time, you know that there are plenty of abandoned towns where just people don't live there anymore. And that will be the reality for many. all the promises and of politicians or whatever, and it's just another day. You get used to it, and you begin to accept it as this is just the way that it is. It's a sad thing, but it is the future. It is the reality that we are in. It's like, for example, I'm going to be this goes to show just how selfish of a person I am and how shallow I am, but I'll say it nonetheless. Being a maintenance guy at a hotel, you have to do everything, right? If somebody's not there, you got to do the janitor stuff. So you got to take out the trash and all that, or help the housekeepers upstairs. You could fight about it, but are you guaranteed to find another job? No. Then you play along, and you at least give lip service to it. Hell, you may even enjoy it and say, I'm glad I have a job. And of course, this gets into all the sort of class sort of things and whatnot. That I'm glad that these folks give me a job. I sure is glad, and it's a very sad thing, but that is the real future. People can go ahead and LARP and try to fearmonger on Twitter or wherever, or they can have their arguments about whatever. But it's just going to occur. I've heard this argument before, but I think it's true, is that we're already in a low intensity civil war as it is. We are already there, and it's going to flare up and then it'll go back. Flare up, go back. It's the same thing with Israel, Palestine. Flare up, go back to relative normal. Flare up again, come back. Ebb and flow, up and down. And that's the reality of it. But I think eventually the United States will ebb so hard that we won't come back from it. I don't know. Maybe this is just another pill to take metaphorically. But I think that's the reality. We just need to be aware of that all these arguments, all the memeing, all the let's focus on these folks who write these articles or whomever. And there are plenty of people still trapped in that. But you realize that it doesn't matter. You can go ahead and talk all you want to about Biden, or you can talk about Trump and say it's their fault, but we're all part of it. And it's something that I think we all have to kind of just face and say, yeah, this is where we are. Anyway, at this point, I'm just rambling. The banality is there, and it will just continue to kind of ebb and flow. It may just finally crash into the ground, or we may just kind of continue plodding along, making our little changes here and there, and we'll all just kind of accept it. And that's really what it is. Just like anything else, is that people, like I say, I've said this before, I'll say it again. People will run their mouths and talk all sorts of shit saying, I'm going to fight that guy, or I'm going to go out in a spree or whatever. But most people are too pussy for that. Most people don't have it in them. They just want to air things out a little bit. Say they're going to pump some rounds into a fascist or something. In reality, they're not going to do that. It's tough talk. It's tough to make them look tougher in their own eyes and say, yeah. It's like me. It's a long time. I'm a little bit better about it now, but I used to say the N-word quite a bit in these videos, right? I used to say nigga this, nigga that. Did it sound tough? It sound cool? It sound like I would have really been out there, putting in work or whatever. It's not the reality. I would have been a scared little boy. But anyway, this has gone past the 10-minute mark. I'm just rambling at this point, but just keep in mind to not get too caught up in the banality. Cut yourself off from the anger and the fear that rests inside you. And just try to take care of yourself. Grow vegetables if you can. I've tried to, didn't really work out. Save your money. Learn a trade. Maybe make friends with your neighbors. At the end of the day, you do what you want, though. Anyway, I've gone on way too long. I hope y'all got something out of this to realize that it just sort of happens. There's no, like I say, there are dramatic events and whatnot, but too many people play Monday morning historian, and ultimately they don't really have that level of intelligence to be doing that. At best, me included, are midwits who really have no business talking about it. But anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed that. See you later. A goodbye.